Katie here, better known as Reading with Katie Louise over on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm here to bring you my September reads and my October hopefuls. So it's been a while, but let's do my September wrap up. So September looked a lot different to August for a start. So obviously it has been a while. I work full time. This is definitely a side hustle for me, and I have struggled so much to even find time to film and edit all the content I need for a booktube channel. So that is why videos will probably come very sort of small and in between, and why September's reads looks a lot different. So for those that have watched my August wrap up, well, now I read 24 books I think in August. I did not work for the whole month. That is the disclaimer. September, I started to slump, hit the weekend, wanted to read, went back to slumping during the week because I was just far too exhausted to work. There were quite a few Kindle and audio books in September, so this isn't the complete haul. I did read 12 books in September, still an amazing amount, but definitely some not so good books in this wrap up. So we started the month with an arc, and it was on my September hopefuls, and that is The Girl in the Fire by Sam K. Stevens. I am now obsessed with this author. I've already downloaded so many more books. This followed a girl who died in a fire probably about 10 years ago, and it turns out that she never died. She faked her own death. And it tells a story, so it's from two points of view. It's from the point of view of the fiancé of the woman who has basically been living a double life, well, sort of a reincarnated life, and it's from the point of view of the woman in the lead up to the incident where she suspectedly died in a fire. I found this really gripping. It wasn't quite a 5-star read, so I did rate this 4 stars, but I really enjoyed it. I was really stuck into it. It was quite short and snappy. It did dull a bit in the middle. That's the only reason for a drop in a star. However, I would still recommend this author, and I'm still going to give this author like so much more of a try. But it was a good way to start September, that is for sure, and that did release at the beginning of September, so you are available to go get it, and it is on Kindle Unlimited. So I did also mention that I was picking up a few really random reads in September as part of the Bookish Bingo. And I did end up completing pretty much the whole of that bingo card throughout August and September. So the next one that I listened to was Queer Little Nightmares. Definitely wasn't for me. I did rate it 3 stars because the writing was really good, but I just don't think it was for me. It was a little too weird for me. I was giggling at certain points of it. Some aspects of it were like 1 star, some aspects were like 3 stars. So I found it really hard to rate, but it wasn't terrible. I just don't think it was my kind of vibe. But nonetheless, it was another one, very quick and easy. It was literally like a 4-hour listen. But yeah, it was another one on the Bookish card. So next up was a bingo prompt card again, and that was the Ace of Spades. I did actually rate this 3 stars. Now, there are so many important topics raised in this book. There are trigger warnings I suspect that you need to check. It is actually classed as a young adult academic book, so it's set in a college where the only 2 black people in the school are targeted. It sort of gave off a little bit of Gossip Girl vibes. So it was a 3-star really because I don't know, I can't really explain it. I just found it a bit slow moving. So if you've seen Gossip Girl, you'll know there's someone sending out texts bringing out people's darkest secrets. Well, this was the case for these 2 main characters. It follows both their points of view. They're 2 very different people at school. One is appeared to be popular and one is just appeared to be the quiet one. And towards the end of the book I was actually really involved. I do also think the rating is down to the fact that by the time I picked up Ace of Spades I was starting to slump. The back to work sort of hit me. I was very tired. I didn't really feel like picking up a book, and I think because it wasn't gripping me, it did slump me a little bit. But then the ending I did manage to finish quite quickly, but it was on a weekend. But I'd definitely look into it, but I just don't think it was fully my vibe as a crime and thriller girly. Next up was the first of my autumnal reads, and that was Autumn in Sycamore Park by C.P. Ward. This has been sat on my Kindle for above a year. This was, I think I got it on a Stuffy Kindle day, and I thought it would be a really lovely romance, a lovely cosy autumnal vibe. I did, however, only rate it 3 stars. I just didn't see the point in it. So it followed a woman who had moved on from a past relationship and had moved away and got a job as a teacher in a new school. I thought she'd meet someone, and she does, but that's in the last 5% of the book, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. I definitely hit the 90% point by the time something started happening, and that part was lovely. And it was a lovely story, but it just wasn't what I'd signed up for. It followed her as she tried to get her children in check, as she tried to save a tree in Sycamore Park, and yet it just wasn't at all what I was expecting. It's cosy, but I wouldn't go into it thinking it's a romance. If you want a cute little story, definitely give it a go. It was only 200 and something pages, but yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't unenjoyable, but because I was expecting a romance, it just didn't hit the spot for that. Next up is an audiobook pick, but it's something that's been sat on my TBR. I actually haven't had this book this long, and that is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice to Unalivers. Yeah, definitely an interesting book. I did rate it 4 stars. It was very, very quirky. It follows Vera Wong as somebody is found dead in her cafe, and she doesn't think the police are doing enough to basically sort it out. So she takes it upon herself to try and solve the murder, and it just gets weirder from there. Vera is absolutely hilarious. Listen to this on audio, especially with the voice. I think the narration really helped the rating on this book. I just found it really funny, and I absolutely adored Vera and the relationship she builds within this. So it isn't just, it's like a cozy mystery, which isn't actually my genre, but I just think with how well written this was, it was really enjoyable, and I would definitely recommend giving this a read. It's something very cozy, very quick and easy, and I absolutely adore the audio of this. Next up, I actually intended to read this in physical form. It was part of the bingo prompt that has also been on my TBR for quite some time, and that is Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Now, I actually turned to audio to this because I attempted to pick it up at the beginning of September and I did not know what I wanted to read. I was mood reading and slumping so bad. I just kept picking up 1,000,001 different books. I think I had about 4 books on the go by this point, so I just didn't know what to do. So it got to the end of the month. I didn't want to start another audio, so I thought I'd pick this up on audio instead so that I had a chance to finish this in the month of September. I ended up rating it 4 stars. This follows sort of 2 people who originally meet in childhood, both under bad circumstances. One's sister is unwell and the other is actually in hospital because he's had an accident with his leg. I just feel like this was such a lovely story. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. It is very, very hyped, so the 4 star may be a little bit controversial, I don't know. But yeah, it's not about romance as such. It is a love story though, but it's not in the way that you expect. And there were parts of this that actually had me really upset. I definitely checked some warnings on this because there was some hard hitting stuff about 3/4 of the way through that had me kind of putting my pen down when I was working and being a bit like, oh wow. But yeah, I definitely actually would recommend this. But the one thing for me that I'm glad I switched to audio for was the long chapters. So I actually picked this up on Kindle for a little while because it was 99p. But the chapters were like 15-16 minutes long, and when you're slumping like I was, those chapters are not one chapter before bed. So yeah, unfortunately the chapters are a bit long, but the actual premise of the story is really good. Now this will probably take me no time at all to talk about, and that is the Pocahontas poems. It was a bookish bingo prompt. I actually rated it 2 stars. Poems are definitely not my thing. Poetry is definitely not my thing. I read it for a bingo prompt. It took me less than an hour to read, but it just wasn't for me. I just wasn't invested. I much prefer a story rather than short poems, but I gave it a go, and that doesn't stop anyone else doing it. So if you do enjoy poems, I'd definitely give it a go. Next up, it was a very much anticipated release of September for a lot of people. You'll have seen in the past few months wrap-ups that I have been reading the Girls in Love series by Jacqueline Wilson, all in anticipation for Think Again. Now, this is controversial in opinion, although I have seen a few others now come out and say the same thing. I rated this 3 stars. This was so underwhelming for me. I was hyped. I loved Jacqueline Wilson as a kid, but it just didn't live up to the hype at all. So this follows the 3 girls, Ellie, Magda and Nadine, as they are now turning 40, primarily from Ellie, well, it's from Ellie's point of view. But to me, this was just Ellie, but at 40. Nothing had changed. Her viewpoint, her attitudes. It was literally just rereading the Girls in Love series, and I was kind of hoping that Ellie would change and that would have grown up, and I don't feel like she has in the book, and I know this is controversial to say, but that is just my view. So it follows Ellie, and yeah, the only reason it got 3 stars and not 2, if I'm being completely honest, is the ending. It was the ending I wanted. I was really hoping she wasn't going to go down the line of Girls in Love, and she did until about the last 10% of the book. That being said, I read it pretty quickly, but yeah, it didn't live up to the hype in my opinion. Next up, and probably quite another controversial opinion, was The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. So I actually read this back in 2020 and I actually DNF'd it. I did well though, because I DNF'd it about 140 pages in maybe. But it just wasn't for me. But I gave it a go for a bingo prompt because I had to reread a book I previously DNF'd. And obviously this was probably a good one because he's now released another like 3 in the series and it's very hyped over on Book Talk. But I still only rated it 3 stars. I won't be picking up the rest of the series. I've been told to try an audio, and I may do one day when I've tackled my TBR, which we all know probably will never happen. But yeah, I mean, it was good. I'm glad I pushed past where I DNF'd because it did get better, and a lot of people have said that to me. But if you haven't heard of this series, it follows a group of, I want to say women and men, I was going to say women, who all live in a little neighbourhood. They're all on the older side and somebody is unalived and basically they have to try and they want to try and figure it out and stick their noses in where it's not wanted, and they do actually end up solving it. But yeah, I like the premise of it. It's just a bit slow for me. I'm very much a like crime and thriller girly, and I think this is too cosy mystery for me. But I gave it a go and I am glad I finally finished it, even though it only got a 3-star rating. It did take me a while to get through. I'm extremely grateful for reading sprints over on TikTok because I wouldn't have got through it otherwise. But yeah, controversial, but at least I finished it this time. An audio book pick again for the Bookish Bingo, and the last one of the Bookish Bingo of the month, and that was Charlotte's Web. I had to read a book that was published before I was born. I am very aware of Charlotte's Web. I think I actually read it when I was younger. It's a lovely story and I did rate it 4 stars. The listen to it was lovely. The voices were good, the story, the premise of it all. It is very much a classic. So yeah, it's probably not something I'd recommend on this channel just purely because I'm bringing you sort of books that are a bit longer. It's more of a children's kind of story. But yeah, I just wanted to give it a mention because it was one of the books that I listened to this month. Now, this book that I picked up next is an ARC, and it did release at the end of September, and that was Meet Me in a Mile. This followed 2 people who trained together, as one of them was training for a marathon and the other one was her personal trainer. It's kind of like a friends to lovers kind of vibe. I suppose it's not enemies to lovers, but it's not friends, it's like an in-between. They bump into each other before she even knows she's running a marathon, and it just follows their relationship and their story. I found this really easy to read. I did enjoy it and I did rate it 4 stars. It was just, yeah, such a lovely just feel, and yeah, I definitely recommend going to give it a look. And yeah, like I said, it was a 4 star and I did enjoy it. It just maybe was a bit too slow burn for my liking. So the last book of September that I actually picked up was Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. Now, I don't know if I've talked about it on BookTube, but if you've been over on BookTok and Bookstagram, you know how much I love Lynn Painter. She's my favourite romance author, and Better Than the Movies is my favourite book of all time. So I was extremely excited for the sequel, if not a little worried. I had seen a couple of ARC reviews already come out before I started reading it, and I did rate it 4 stars. However, the story and the premise of the story is good. However, when you've read Better Than the Movies and it's like that love story everybody wants in their life, they want that cutesy romance, they want that romance that you just don't see in real life, and then they bring it back into like reality in Nothing Like the Movies because it follows Wes and Liz the same as it does in Better Than the Movies. You're almost a bit upset about it and absolutely mortified. I did enjoy the story and I do love Wes and Liz and I love Lynn Painter. I just don't think Better Than the Movies needed a sequel. It was still a good book. Hence why I have only dropped 1 star and not 2. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed even by the start of the book because it's like second chance romance vibes, and Better Than Movies, that relationship was just my life for quite some time. But I'd still absolutely recommend picking it up. I'm still waiting to find somewhere that sells the paperback so I can add it to my Lynn Painter collection. But yeah, bit unsure, but I don't imagine Lynn Painter's going to watch this video. But yeah, please don't bring any more out on Wes and Liz because I adore them as a couple and I really, really just don't want anything else to happen to them. So that is September all wrapped up. As I said, that was 12 books. I think I only actually read 1 or 2 physical, but I do want to have a little chat about what I'm going to read in October, but I haven't fully decided what that's going to be yet. I have had a massive book haul come, which I'm going to do another video on, because I have just quite literally ordered so many books already at the beginning of October. But I've got so many books that I want to read, and yeah, so let's get into my October hopefuls. So the first book of the month that I want to talk about is Cat and Mouse by MJ Alley. You can probably see it in the shot a little bit before I've put up the graphic. I have not touched the MJ Alley series quite a few months. I was scared for it to finish, and then Forget Me Not has come out in that Helen Grey series, so I have decided to pick up that one. I did start on the 30th of September, but literally read about 8 pages of it. So that is my first book of the month. I'm very excited to read it. I love MJ Alley. They're short chapters, they're quick, they're fast paced, so hopefully it's as good as the rest of the series. So next up, this is what I mean with a stutter, I am going to be joining the book club with their reads. However, I have already read one of them, so I do want to give it a shout out for those that want something for the spooky season. The first book for Bad Book Club is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I read this last year and rated it 5 stars. So I'm very excited for the rest of the gang to read it. They are reading it over week 1, 2 and 3 of October, as there are 5 weeks, 5 Tuesdays in October. And then the second book, which is what I will be reading with them, is The Eyes Are the Best Part. I have not read anything about this. It's the book club pick. I don't have it, and it was 99p on Kindle for a day, so I went and bought it. I am absolutely petrified to read it, but it's all about going out of your comfort zone. So October brings not just Nothing Like the Movies, but also another much anticipated release, and that is another Freida McFadden book, and that is The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden. I will be reading this probably on my Kindle. However, I did buy the Sprayed Edge edition. In fact, let's get it so I can show you. But yeah, I won't be picking up Freida, but we'll talk more about it. So I've got The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden. The Sprayed Edge on this is absolutely stunning. I have not seen a sprayed edge like this for quite some time. I love a good sprayed edge, but oh my goodness, this is stunning, and it is a Works exclusive edition, web only. But yeah, Freida McFadden always brings a good book. I haven't even looked at the blurb of this book, but it's definitely one I'll be picking up this month, probably after Cat and Mouse. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. Also, I have a couple of arcs lined up this month. The first one is The Killer's Instinct by Kate Wiley. I have read the first 2 books as arcs by this author. The first one I didn't particularly love, but I did give the author a second chance, and I was glad I did. The second book was rated 4 stars. This is the 3rd book in the series and releases in the middle of October, so I will definitely be giving that one a try. The other arc is, it's gone out of my head, I think it's You Killed Your Mum. I will double check that before posting this video. And yeah, that is another arc, and that also releases in October, and I cannot wait to give that a read. Right, just to confirm, the book in question is The Girl Who Killed Her Mum. I have read the blurb and adored the sound of it, so I've given it a go. It's from Joffrey Books, not NetGalley, so that does release, I can confirm, on the 17th of October, so I will definitely be giving that one a go. Another book which actually releases on November 1st is The Married Man by K.L. Slater. I haven't actually read anything by this author, but I have been contacted by a PR company and wanting to send me a package to read and promote the book before it is released, so I will most definitely be picking that up in October, as it does release at the beginning of November. It's also my first PR package, which is very, very exciting, so I am very much looking forward to that. The last one I must definitely pick up is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. I actually read Pumpkin Spice Cafe last year and I really enjoyed it. This has just been released and is a book club pick for another book club I actually don't commit to, but it's one of my lovely friends Molly over on TikTok, so I want to give it a read, so I'll probably join that one too. So yeah, that is a very sort of different book to the others that I've listed this month, but I think that's probably the last one I'm definitely going to be reading. I'm just going to see where the mood takes me. So that is my list for now. As I said, my mood with work has been quite hit and miss. I am off at the end of October / beginning of November, so it might be that it picks up again, but I don't want to commit too much. I am enjoying doing the little things. I have been reorganising my bookshelves and trying to fit in all the new books that I've bought. Like I said, a book haul video will be incoming at some point. I'm struggling to find time to record things. But yeah, I am sort of in the process of changing a lot of things. But yeah, that is my October hopefuls, and obviously what I read in September. Hopefully it won't be as long until the next video. But as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos. if you don't mind a bit of a gap, and hopefully I'll see you all soon.